Morning, everyone. Focus Daily. First of all praise due to the Most High, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, in the name of Jesus Christ. It's through them that I am being sent with this truth as a chance for redemption for all. So, we've reached the early 1900s. Everything is beginning to make a drastic change. With recent discoveries of new gold up north in the Canadian Alaskan territory, the world was now beginning to take a new form. The indigenous people would soon be under a new form of disenfranchisement. On paper, it speaks about the gold standard being refurbished in the early 1900s. But officially, the people were just being allowed, by the people, I mean the prospectors, those who were pillaging the gold, were being allowed to cash in one last time. So the gold standard was put into place by McKinley in a last-ditch effort to allow those who had collected mass amounts of gold to trade them in for actual currency. Because soon reclassification will begin and the fiat system will be in full effect. So you can call it the gold rush era. You can call it the gold heist era. It had officially re-began for the final curtain call of it all. All right, let's read a little bit about this gold standard for people can get a better understanding of what was actually going on. Look at that. First of all, let's get a little bit into this history. The Klondike Gold Rush. The Klondike Gold Rush, often called the Yukon Gold Rush, was a mass exodus of prospecting migrants from their hometowns to Canadian Yukon Territory and Alaska after gold was discovered there in 1896. Previously, we had spoke of a guy named Sukum Jim, who helped lead the people to this gold reserve. And yeah, shame on Sukum Jim. But we're revisiting this because this is important. We're in 1900s. Oh, did I change that date? Let me change that date. We're in the 1900s right now, and the gold is about to officially take off. Take off and disappear from the continental USA to the Swiss banks, the Vatican, and to England, where it all will finally rest until God comes to collect. Because officially, who they actually were stealing from was God himself. The ideal of striking it rich led over 100,000 people from all walks of life to abandon their homes and embark on an extended, life-threatening journey across treacherous, icy valleys and harrowing, rocky terrain. Less than half of those who started the trek to the Yukon arrived. Those who got there safely stood little chance of finding gold. Lies. While the Klondike Gold Rush invigorated the economy of the Pacific Northwest, it also devastated the local economy and had a negative impact on many Yukon natives. What they're speaking about here is during those times was known as the curse of the gold. With gold being virtually everywhere, the curse of the gold implied that the indigenous people or the rightful landowners were cursed and due to suffer because of their riches. So it would be best to keep the gold out of sight and out of mind in order to enjoy a peaceful existence. In actuality, it was just a straight up robbery. Hopefully by now, folks, your discernment is on and you're able to see through these printed lies. You're able to see to the root of the story through the story. A little bit more on Gold Rush Alaska. Starting in 1870s, prospectors trickled into the Yukon in search of gold. Now, once again, these were not gold mines where they were discovering, not underground mines. These were ancestral burial grounds. These were tombs of our great ancestors, of Afro-American kings and leadership who were buried in an Egyptian style, if you will. And one by one, skin folks began to lead them to these surpluses, but throughout history and in print, they were labeled as gold rushes. Started in 1870s, prospectors trickled into the Yukon in search of gold. By 1896, around 1,500 prospectors panned for gold along the Yukon River Basin. One of them was American George Cormack. Okay, we're not going to get into the who right now. I just wanted to set the conditions. Now, let's talk a little bit about this gold standard. All right, Investopedia.com. What is the gold standard? The gold standard is a monetary system where a country's currency or paper money has a value directly linked to gold. With the gold standard, countries agreed to convert paper money into a fixed amount of gold. A country that uses the gold standards sets a fixed price for gold and buys and sells gold at that price. So, President McKinley institutes the gold standard for a momentary time to allow said prospectors and gold rushers to cash in before the system completely is given over to the Swiss bankers, J.P. Morgan and his crew. Continue. That fixed price is used to determine the value of the currency. For example, if the U.S. sets the gold price at $500 an ounce, the value of the dollar would be 1/500th of an ounce of gold. The gold standard is not currently used by any government. Now we're fast forwarding to the present, to the plan that we're seeing unfold. Britain stopped using the gold standards in 1931, following official reclassification. Just hang on. And the U.S. followed suit in 1933, once Walter Plecker completed his mission. Finally abandoned the remnants of the system in 1973. So in 1973, the gold was completely out of sight and out of mind. Although there was massive stockpiles of it, it's no longer mentioned or considered of any value to this current fiat economical system. The gold standard was completely replaced by fiat money, a term to describe currency that is used because of the government's order or fiat that the currency must be accepted as payment. Let me continue. In the U.S., for instance, the dollar is fiat money, and for Nigeria, it is naira. Naira, however you say that. Okay. fiat money. Previously, as we're reading, money was based on actual, well, I shouldn't say actual, on metal resources. Quickly, in the 1900s, it began to be replaced by fiat. We might have to look into fiat, but we'll do that later. I'm just going to explain it the best I can. The money was backed by the souls of humans. You get to Revelation chapter 19, it speaks of the souls of men being traded. This is what it's speaking of. The fiat economical system, once again, which is backed by our souls. We'll get more into that later. The appeal of the gold standard is that it arrests control of the issuance of money out of the hands of imperfect human beings, with the physical quantity of gold acting as a limit to that issuance. A society can follow a simple rule to avoid the evils of inflation. The goal of monetary policy is not just to prevent inflation, but also deflation, and to help promote a stable monetary environment in which employment can be achieved. A brief history of the gold standard is enough to show that when such a simple rule is adopted, inflation can be avoided. But strict adherence to that rule can create economic instability, if not political unrest. There you have it, folks. The evils of inflation, the evils of fiat should be the actual verbiage used, but we're digging into that. We're uncovering it. America is being exposed as Mystery Babylon. But until the next time, Focus Daily, y'all. We out.